Front Row Media, in cooperation with East Arkansas Broadcasters, presents On the Front Row with Budro. Phone lines are open now at 930-3776. Toll free at 866-930-3776. First-time callers get free food and a really hard time. Now, here's your host of On the Front Row with Budro, Bud Tropel.
And good morning. Welcome to a Wednesday edition of On the Front Row. My name is Randy Myers. Bud is still on vacation this week, sailing the high seas somewhere on the Caribbean. But in his stead today, this guy is more jacked up than a 10-year-old in 1974, headed to his very first Porsche picnic on the 4th of July as we welcome Randy Hales into the show for a full 3 hours of the program today. What's going on, RH?
Do you think I'm a little bit fired up today? Somebody says something about being fired up, Tommy Rich used to say. How about it? You think I'm fired up?
I think you've been geeked up for a while over this one, man.
Now, I have a question for you. You know who I am. You know all about me. You know my promotion philosophy is expect the unexpected. Yeah. And you also know about 4 years ago, I showed up along with Derek King at this television. You know, I know some bad son of a gun, some sneaky son of a guns.
Right.
And so what we did when we showed up at K-Fine, we busted in here and ended up shaving David the Barrel Boy's head bald right here on this at this radio station building. So
right out there in the hall. I've seen the video.
I just wanted to know, knowing that, what is your stress level going into this show today, knowing my history?
I really hadn't thought about it that much, to be honest with you. I mean, I in terms of something like that happening, I really hadn't worried too much about it. Now maybe I've entered the back of my mind because I like my hair. I'd like to keep it,
Now, I could. Do you think the fact now Randy had some issues this morning? Now I'll put that out there. I don't know if he wants me to say that or not.
That's
he
all
had
right.
some plumbing issues this morning, just out of the blue. Now, you don't think just maybe, I snuck over to your house and I sabotaged your plumbing this morning?
No, I don't think that at all. I don't think you know enough about plumbing to try to do something like that.
No, I absolutely don't. Yeah. So we have Coach Tommy Fowler, the athletic director from Valley View, former American Legion coach, and former American Legion player Chris Ellis, who also is the assistant superintendent in Southside. We got them there. Later on in the power hour at 9 o'clock, we have Michael St. John, but I want to kind of dial it back a little bit, and I want to talk about two things that you talked about yesterday.
All right.
With Craig Miller on his portion on Cardinal Talk. The first thing that I want to say about that show yesterday is that you, not just yesterday, you're always talking about the Cardinal jinx. You're not giving me a hard time here at all.
Yet.
However,
Of course, the show is young. We just started.
However, you always give him a hard time about that jinx. They played.
Yes, the Henry Bennett jinx.
They played the second game of their series with Atlanta yesterday. They lost the first game.
Right.
Did you happen to see the results of the game?
I know they lost again last night. 7-2, wasn't it?
Yes, they did. They lost 7-2. So what in the heck are we going to do?
That makes them what, 4-7 their last 11 games, I think.
What are they since that you started Cardinal Talk? You researched that yesterday, so you can say they lost one more game.
Pull out my trump card over here.
Okay.
Okay, when we started the Cardinal Talk on June 3rd, they were 29-22, and then second in the National League Central. So I don't know what their overall record is now, but it's not quite that good, I don't think.
They're third. They're 3 games out.
So they dropped to third in the standings?
Well, I don't know about the standings.
They're 3 games out, okay.
They're 3 games out for sure. The other thing that I wanted to talk to you about that you mentioned yesterday, and I did as well about a week before you did, I went to see the movie Elvis, the Elvis movie. I went to see that, and obviously you went to see it yourself, correct?
I did. I saw it, I don't remember, it's a long weekend, so I lost track of which day it was. I think it was Saturday I went to see it.
I wanted to talk to you about something that I read, and you talked about it yesterday.
Okay.
You talked about, and this was way, because I'm older than you, I was born in 1961. You talked
you're about a year older than me.
You talked about the fantastic concert in Bono, and that's your area of expertise, in Bono on September.
Bono in Egypt, yeah.
On September the 6th, 1955, 1,000 people packed that high school building or wherever the
gym,
venue
the
was.
high school gym at Bono.
The high school
The floor collapsed.
gym.
There were so many people in there.
The class that sponsored it made $2,500 to bring Elvis Presley in, and the young lady that had the idea to bring Elvis in, she saw him in concert at Nettleton High School, and so thought, man, that's a good way to make money. And she was gaga over Elvis.
As most women were.
Her name is Betty Kraft. She is Betty Klinkle right now, had seen him, and then her dad was so mad, said, you're not bringing in no rock and roll singer that wiggles his hips all the time. Mm-hmm. He was embarrassed. He was mad, but that's a memory of a lifetime, and the Channel 8 News app has that story up. But after you talking about it yesterday and I had heard about the concert. I had heard about coming to Bono. I never heard about the Nettleton appearance till I heard you say it yesterday.
Yeah, I had forgotten that he had played at Nettleton. Of course, Craig brought that up, and he knows a little more about the Nettleton appearance than I do. But I've heard a lot of stories about the Bono concert, and actually talked to people who were there and witnessed it, and talked about the floor collapsing.
Oh yeah, I hadn't heard that. That is neat. I think right now you had something you wanted to say this morning about how we were going to handle phone calls today.
Yeah, just of course, like I said, this is Wednesday, the day that you're normally here from 9 to 10 for the Power Hour, where we exclusively talk pro wrestling. But so if you have a question for Randy or a comment for Randy that regards wrestling, and you don't have the luxury of waiting to call between 9 and 10, then you can go ahead and call before then with a wrestling question or comment. We would prefer that you try to wait until 9 for the wrestling stuff, but in the meantime, if you want to call before then, if you can't wait until 9, if you don't have that luxury, then we'll give you a pass and let you call with a wrestling question or comment before the usual 9 o'clock Power Hour.
I wanted to give my story a little bit about American Legion baseball. Now, I'm the wrestling guy, wrestling business born, wrestling business bred. When I die, Randy Hales will be, by God, Memphis wrestling dead. We know that. However, what got me involved was my involvement with American Legion. And with American Legion, that's where I got my break in the wrestling business.
Right.
I started hanging out with all the events. I actually, as a kid, was the announcer. I would call bingo once a month at the old American Legion hut. Later on, I got involved through Charlie Raid and Randy Wade and Carlton Gray and the entire Elwood family that did a great job keeping the field. I ended up keeping the scorebook for American Legion Baseball, and I was the PA announcer. Now, my friend that's a co-host on Talking Memphis Wrestling Live on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and everywhere we go, Chris Ellis, is a former American Legion baseball player. He had a mean coach, a real mean coach that he tells me about all the time. But Chris tells me now, and Chris is a big wrestling fan, tells me that it was a thrill to him. Honestly, it's funny. He must be live a boring life if it's a thrill to him that Randy Hales said, now batting number 27, Chris Ellis. And then he would come out. That was a thrill to him. Chris told me on the phone the other day, he said, RH, He calls me RH, Randy Myers calls me RH, and Coach Fowler will have in a few minutes ago. He can call me anything, but I got a story on Coach Tommy Fowler in just a minute you will not believe. But Chris Ellis tells me he drives by the American Legion Field on Dan Avenue. Yeah. He drives by. And he's heartbroken. He's crying. He's upset. He calls me up and says, RH, it's terrible. They've sold the American Legion Field. They have dirt work. The fence is down. The concessions stand still up, but the bleachers down. It's terrible. They've sold the property. That gave me the idea. Based on the fact that you called me and wanted me to do 3 hours, I'm thinking, what in the world am I going to talk about for 3 hours? Because I can do a wrestling hour without no prep at all with my eyes closed. It just comes through me. However, you see my notes over here? I am prepared, big time. I can, just don't ask me, people, about hockey. I can't tell you anything about hockey. But we're going to talk American Legion baseball. And I know my guys are here early, and we're about 7 minutes before break. Guys, if you want to come in the studio with me right now, and we'll go ahead and get this sucker started. That okay with you, Randy?
That's fine with me, yeah. It's fine with me if it is them. So.
I've told you about my buddy Chris Ellis. Chris through wrestling and him are tight. We are big time. There's headsets right there and headsets for you. And Chris Ellis, you made the trip from Southside. I won't say the other word or you might knock me out. Current assistant superintendent of Southside School, former athletic director for many, many years, a coach of many teams, a principal. He's an educator for life. Thank you for getting up, driving from Southside. It's a pleasure. And thank you for hooking me up with my guest today. Thank you, my other guest. I don't want to be slight to you. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Randy, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here this morning.
All right, we'll have a lot of time.
Can you guys both hear okay in your headphones?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How about you, Chris?
Yes, sir.
All right, good deal.
Now, you guys ready for my Coach Fowler story?
Let's have it. I'm ready if Coach Fowler's ready.
Are you ready, Coach?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay.
There's a lot of them out there.
This is a good story, and this is one I don't think you've ever heard.
Okay.
Because obviously we became acquainted because I was the kid PA announcer, and you were the coach for with Daddy Rabbit, Dave Russell, and we'll talk about him today. So it had been years and years. I was already out of the wrestling business. That anything I never, no offense, but I hadn't thought of Tommy Fowler. I hadn't thought. I do now because my great nephew Cal Richardson goes to Valley View. He'll be a senior this year. He told me in a text. He's going to be listening. His dad's listening. The whole family's going to listen. The dad said, ask Coach Fowler how trying to get him in trouble. Ask how's Cal doing. And then I told Cal I was going to ask you. He said he loves me. So is that true? Do you love Cal or not? Is he a good kid or a bad kid?
He's an excellent young man. I enjoy Cal. I can kid with him and he can kid with me. And it goes back to our 7th grade. I was actually his 7th grade basketball coach. And Cal's a great young man.
He's a smart kid. He's great. He's going to be the smartest one of us in the whole family. We all say that. He really is.
Good for him.
He's smart. He is smart. Well, here is my story. Before we go to the first break.
All right, let's have it. You got 5 minutes to tell it.
I'll tell it quick and let him respond.
All
so
right.
I was in Memphis. I was at the premiere of the Memphis Heat video. Don't need notes for this. I was at the Orpheum Theater. I was with Bill Dundee, Jerry Lawler, Lance Russell, Dave Brown, and beautiful Bobby Eaton. So we did a meet and greet after the movie, and a gentleman came up to me. Now, Lawler, Dundee, Lance, Dave, this dude didn't give up, you know what, about any of them. He came right up to me. Imagine that. And he came up to me and said, Mr. Hales, you know my dad. I said, really? I said, who is your dad? And then he says, Coach Fowler, your own son calls you coach. I couldn't believe it.
He probably called me a lot worse than that, to be honest with you.
He called you Coach. But, Coach, I thought that story was a good way to start. What do you, the athletic director of Valley View, coach of the American Legion, coach of Nettleton basketball, you've been all over a legendary name in Northeast Arkansas sports, but we're going to talk about your feelings about Chris and I determining they're getting rid of American Legion Park. Is that not sad?
It's very sad. Gosh, I got so many great memories out there. And you've mentioned some people already, Carlton Gray and Dave Russell. What a great guy, though. Both of them were great people and helped the program. I remember the trees in right field, and they finally, because the highway was being expanded, they cut those down. They were beautiful pine trees out there, and it was a beautiful park. The Elwood family did such a great job of taking care of the field. You've already brought back so many great memories.
Hey, one thing I also remember is that now I believe the son I met in Memphis was Tommy Jr. Now, when you were coaching American Legion ball, I believe, hopefully my memory won't fail me, I believe your son Patrick played on the team.
He did. Patrick was my youngest, and he did play. Tom Jr. did not play American Legion, but Patrick, my youngest, did play.
Dave Russell passed away several years ago in 2013 at 74 years. Do you remember his wife, Dean? She lived to 83. I loved the whole family. How did it come about? Obviously, I know some period of time there, you've coached American Legion ball in Paragould, but give me the timeline real quick.
It's kind of hard for me. I'm so old, but I came back to Nettleton to coach in about 87, and Chris and I were talking about this the other day, and I really don't know exactly how Dave and I met, but we did meet, and he said, hey, you want to help me coach Legion ball? And I said, sure, I love baseball. And so about 87, I was out there from about 87 to 93, 94, and had a chance to work with the Legion program.
How would, for the people that never heard of Daddy Rabbit, Dave Russell, I'll ask Chris first, real quick, in 1 minute. How would you describe Dave Russell? And try to imitate him voice-wise.
Already, it's hard to imitate Daddy Rabbit. I can't do him justice.
Well, here's my question. How did he get the name Daddy Rabbit? There's got to be a great story there. Does anybody know that story?
I do not know that, but I can tell you. He was a big, burly guy.
Yeah, I remember that. I knew that.
With a heart of gold.
Yes.
Loved kids and loved baseball, and would pick kids up, take them home after practice, after games. And that was after he threw his Memphis Commercial Appeal paper route.
Yeah. And the Democrat.
And the Democrat.
Or maybe it's that. I don't remember which of the two papers.
Yeah, it was probably the Gazette back in those days. And he would do that, and he'd come to the ballpark bleary-eyed, but he'd sit there, and boy, the kids loved him to death.
Hey, before he got involved in American Legion baseball, he was a big influence on the kids because he, for many years and won championship, he was a Little League coach as well, right? Very
renowned Little League coach here when the baseball fields were out at the fairgrounds, which is all developed now. It's not there anymore. I guess it is there, but it is not there as far as when the Little League parks and everything were out there.
I hear the music playing. Hey, Randy Myers, this is the first break. We got it completed, and we survived the break. How about that?
So far, we're alive and well. In the meantime, we're going to hit the break. In the meantime, guys, see if y'all can get him calmed down just a little bit in there, okay? Can you work on that during the break?
That's just my personality.
That's good.
Wrestling born, wrestling bred. We're going to blow the socks off here on the Ticket Radio Network.
We'll be back on the Ticket.
Call in to On the Front Row with Budro, 870-930-3776, 870-930-3776.
On the Front Row with Bud and Randy is presented by Alexander's Machine Shop, your job shop machine shop. Powered by the Central family of dealerships, the car capital of the Mid-South. And brought to you by Branching Out Tree Services, by Safe Ship, specialty shipping and printing, by Pizza Chef, the best pies in town for almost 30 years. Community Fellowship Church, by Gateway Tire and Service Center, more than just tires. By Empower, high-speed internet in your neck of the woods. By Demo Smokehouse Barbecue, now in 2 locations. By The Social at Hilltop, the most unique dining and entertainment spot in years. By Munchies, the original sandwich shop. By Tucker's Appliance Superstore, more selections than ever before. By Express Pawn in Jonesboro and Paragould, look for the oval sign. By Pack Mail, packing, shipping, and so much more. By Plaza Tire Service, the quick change artist. By Southern Home Healthcare, the right choice in oxygen and medical equipment for the home. By Forest Office Machines, your authorized Sharp dealer. Here's your Front Row forecast.
Sunny and hot, the rule once again today. A high of 102 expected. The heat index factor will be in the 107-degree range. We are under an excessive heat warning for both today and tomorrow. Tonight should be mostly clear with a low of 81. More sunny and hot tomorrow. 101 is the projected high for tomorrow. Again, another excessive heat warning. Friday brings a 20% chance of showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon with a high of 102 and a heat advisory in effect for Friday. Currently in Jonesboro, fair skies, sunshine, 82 degrees at the EAB studios on Parker Road as we resume our American Legion baseball conversation now with Randy Hales, Coach Tommy Fowler, and Chris Ellis. Gentlemen.
First of all, I would like to add, I've just been here 30 minutes, and you guys are my witness. Coach Fowler, Coach Ellis, my witness. I've already been fussed at by Randy Myers. He has already came in front of my 2 guests and has fussed at me live. Another thing I want to add to your little weather report.
Okay.
You said it's going to be hot. I want everybody to know in Craighead County, also in Poinsett and everywhere close, there is a ban burn out there. Folks, you can't burn stuff because it hadn't rained in 25 days. It is hot. It is dangerous. You guys see my Route 44 Sonic Water that I picked up on Stadium at Tisha? There's a little free plug there. Got my Route 40, the best ice in town, folks. I want to talk American Legion baseball. I want to talk to Chris Ellis. Chris, I want you to, your mentor
Lord, what have I got myself
in coaching is right here. It's Coach Fowler.
Yes, sir.
I want you to talk about your relationship with him, how you got involved, how much did he make you want to be a coach? Just talk about Coach Tommy Fowler.
Well, first of all, when I was playing, he coached at Greene County Tech, and we were really good, but the only team we could never beat was Greene County Tech. So, he was a great coach. That's before I ever met him. Then he coached the Paragould Legion team when I played for Jonesboro, and they were always really, really good. I had 3 other really good guys that coached with him, Gary Washington, Bill Shatsley, and Randy Smith. And then when he came to Nettleton, I'd been the Pee Wee coach there for a year, and he allowed me to be his volunteer for basketball and baseball for 3 years. And honestly, I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it hadn't been for Coach, because he helped me get my first job. Just on his recommendation, and I learned a ton from him. Everything I know about baseball, I learned from him. So I'm blessed to have him, and I've leaned on him many times over the years.
You know, he's a brilliant baseball guy. You said that earlier. I noticed it when I was going to games. But the influence, like he can influence my 17-year-old. By the way, Cal is 17 years old. He was born on my 43rd birthday. Born on my 43rd birthday. But just talk about what that means to you, what Chris said. I'm not supposed to look at you. I'm supposed to be right here on this microphone.
You can look at him. Just keep the microphone in front of you.
But what does it mean to you knowing that Chris Ellis has coached, was an athletic director for many, many years in BB, your athletic director in Valley View, and now he's moved up in administration. He's made a career out of it. And now he's assistant superintendent in Southside. You've influenced so many people, and we're going to talk about so many names in the American Legion program. But as an educator and just as a person, to see the people that you coached and mentored, move out in life and see a young, skinny ex-wrestling announcer hosting the show you're on tonight. And you had a lot of influence on all of us. What does that mean to you?
It's very humbling to me. I feel very, very fortunate. I've had a great life, and hopefully I can continue it. I've had great mentors myself, and I've tried to teach people to do things the right way. And Chris obviously has done great things, and being an assistant superintendent in a very growing and very educational system at Southside. He has worked his way up the ladder from, like he said, from an elementary coach to coaching to administration. So he's done a great job. But again, where did I get my knowledge? I've got to give credit to where credit is due. Rich Johnson, I had the opportunity to play for at Arkansas State University, and Rich was a great baseball mind, and he was the head coach out there for many years before his passing. And I was just fortunate enough to be a sponge and absorb a lot of his knowledge, and then I just took that and carried it on and was able to teach. And Chris mentioned Randy Smith and Bill Shatsley. They were both great baseball minds, and I learned from each one of them. And so I've had a very fortunate life in the baseball world.
Where did you go to high school, Coach?
The big school at Manila, about 30 miles from here.
30 miles from here, and we will certainly deep dive into American Legion baseball. I want to call Randy Myers because Randy is the voice of the Blazers. Coach Fowler is the athletic director. I know it's a lot of turnover in coaching, and we'll talk about that later in general. So many, every time you turn around, and we got some coaches that were players for American Legion Baseball that we thought was winding up their coaching career, but they've changed their mind. But as far as Valley View Athletic, the voice of the Raiders, would you like to throw a couple of
Voice
things?
of the Blazers.
What did I say?
Raiders.
Okay, I'm sorry. He was a Raider the first time I met him.
That's okay. I hope I don't make that same mistake.
Okay, you'd be in trouble. But I won't get in trouble for that. Voice of the Blazers, if you would like to discuss anything.
Well, I want to say, I'll just take this opportunity to thank both Coach Fowler and Chris, because I mean, first of all, in my capacity as the voice of the Blazers, I mean, since day one, Coach Fowler's been right there with any request that I had. He's always taken care of me or anything that I needed, and been great to work with, for going on 9 years now. To Chris, I mean, of course, several times over the past few years, our Valley View teams have played basketball games down at BB when he was the athletic director there, and Chris always went out of his way to accommodate me and make sure that I was taken care of. And you don't get that everywhere, so you really appreciate it when you have guys that do go out of their way to accommodate you and take care of you. So I just wanted to let both these guys know how much I appreciate that.
Very welcome, Randy. Very welcome. You do a great job in your broadcast of basketball and football games for Valley View, and as a Valley View school district, we really appreciate everything you do for us.
Well, I appreciate that.
Randy, always glad to work with you. Your professionalism's top notch, and good guys that represent your school the right way are hard to find. So it's great to work with those people.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that.
Hey, if Bud don't watch out, me and Randy might steal this thing, man. We might steal this thing. Again, I appreciate you guys. And as far as coaching and influencing, my niece, Cal's sister, is Kanan Richardson. I don't know.
What a wonderful athlete she was, and a wonderful person. And she is into coaching now, and I'm so happy to see her get into the coaching because she's going to be a great one.
Now, she's coaching what sport?
Will be the head track coach at Annie Junior High School. She will be the assistant volleyball. She played volleyball at Valley View, and then she was on the track team at ASU. Now, Chris, during the interview process, Chris made some calls. Now, he didn't call the Jonesboro calls. You knew some. I forgot what athletic director you called for me to put in word. Do you remember that?
Well, I called Springdale, and I called another district in the northern part of the state, but I can't recall which.
She is getting married in October. Excited about that. I'll be off that day, or I am in big trouble. But, all the coaches and the athletic director and people that's influenced her, and I'm so proud of you and all the nice things you do at Valley View. Corbin Richardson is the oldest one now. Actually, he and I live together. I have my hands full, or he has his full. I don't know which one.
I expect it's the other one that's got his hands full. Hey, going back to the American Legion thing, when did the Legion baseball program actually begin in Jonesboro and Craighead County? Does anybody know the exact number, the exact year that started?
Randy, I really don't, and I was visiting with Chris. I don't even know how the field came about.
I can tell you it was in the 70s.
Okay.
On Dan, remember Barry's truck stop?
Oh,
yes,
yeah, Barry's truck stop.
Right.
Yeah, right beside it. I used to bush hog the field and that sort of thing and help the Elwoods.
Yep.
They did like we say, we're keeping plugging them so Rodney won't get mad at you, Randy, because if he gets mad at me, I could care less. I know you're a nervous wreck. He's scared him. He's scared that I might take this way over the top. But we want to talk players, and I told you last night on the phone, my first memory of players was Bill Taylor. Bill Taylor was a pitcher, was a great, great, great athlete in baseball.
And he played his high school ball at Bay, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
He ended up recently leaving Brooklyn and going to Rector.
He's going to coach the girls at Rector.
See, I listened to you. But memories of Bill Taylor, because I know he's older just like I'm older than you, and Fowler's older than you. You and Randy, you might be the young guy in this room, and that don't happen to you much. But what's your memories of how athletic and what a great baseball player Bill Taylor was?
Well, I watched Bill play basketball and baseball in high school and at Legion Park. I was in Little League and Junior Babe when we'd go watch him play. A lot of those older guys like Bill and Jim Osment and some other guys. Bill was an excellent left-handed pitcher, and we always joke nowadays. I think he's still the career leader in walks at Arkansas State. So that's a joke. But little known fact. The guy who replaced Rab for coaching in 1985, Bill coached the team. Bill coached the Legion team.
I was done
in 1985 after Rab did, and then Rab came back. But Bill coached my last year Legion ball.
Now, you were there for how many seasons?
Probably about 6 years.
And who
Randy.
followed you? Do you know?
I think Charles Lee followed me. Charles was my helper at Nettleton, and he loved baseball. And Charles is now the assistant superintendent in the Rogers School District.
Yeah, this is Charles Lee, who's originally from Harrisburg, right? And also was an administrator and coach at Walnut Ridge for a while.
Yes, he sure was, Randy.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. And after my involvement and went away and did the wrestling thing and all that, I understand, and maybe you had something to do with this, and I bet you did, as the head coach at Nettleton, but they quit playing games at the American Legion field on Dana Avenue and started playing the games at your field at Nettleton. Is that correct?
That happened. That was after I'd finished. We actually didn't have a field at Nettleton, and so we used the field at the American Legion Park. They allowed us to use that, but once the administration saw that the liability of getting kids to the park and from the park, they decided we need a field at Nettleton, and so a field was built at Nettleton there, and Kenny Finley was instrumental in building that field for us. John Finley's dad.
What are your thoughts on Bill Taylor?
Bill, I never played against Bill. Bill and I were very fortunate, and I think Bill will tell you the same thing. Going to ASU and playing for Rich Johnson, he learned a lot of baseball from Rich, and Bill is an outstanding basketball coach. And truth be known, in my mind, I love baseball a little bit more than basketball, and probably I can't speak for Bill, but I know he's a big baseball person, and he loves those Baltimore
He's going
Orioles.
to watch the Orioles play as we speak, yeah.
Attention, I got to call a break, a timeout. Randy, we have issues. I got a text from Craig Miller. You will not believe it. This is to Coach Fowler. Looking forward to Coach Fowler. He often says, I'm the greatest pure athlete he has ever seen or coached.
That sounds like more Craig Miller bunk to me.
Craig was a good player, but his memory is stretched maybe just a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you know Craig?
Yeah, I was the volunteer assistant on the teams that Craig called on, so I agree with Coach Fowler. His memory may be a little off.
Hey,
Just a tad.
We got more to do. I've got notes. He has notes. You have notes. How do you like this talk, Randy, on American Legion baseball? I'm having a blast.
I'm down with it, man. Absolutely. We'll hit the break right now. We'll be back in just a bit. You're listening to On the Front Row on the Ticket Radio Network.
We'll be back.
Front row forecast for Northeast Arkansas. It's going to be sunny and hot throughout the rest of the week. The high today should be about 102. There are excessive heat warnings in effect for today and tomorrow. It'll be mostly clear tonight, low of 81. 101 the high for tomorrow. Heat index factors for the next day or two will be in the 106, 107 degree range. Friday brings a 20% chance of afternoon showers and thunderstorms with a high of 102 and a heat advisory in effect for Friday. That's a bit of a downgrade from the excessive heat warning. We're only a heat advisory on Friday. Currently in Jonesboro, the skies are fair. We've got 84 degrees at the EAB studios on Parker Road. The studios are full here at the Ticket. We've got our guest host, Randy Hales, joining us. He is in the studio with Coach Tommy Fowler and Chris Ellis. And gentlemen, we head to the phones now. Welcome in another former Raider as we bring Andy Shatley into the mix. If you can punch him up in there, Randy.
Top button, right?
Yes, sir. Should do it.
Hey, Andy, appreciate you calling the front row today with Coach Ellis and Coach Fowler.
Good morning, fellas. How are y'all doing today?
Doing good, Andy. How you doing?
Doing good, Andy. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, I just got in the vehicle. I was headed to the hills to go to the lake, and
you're headed. Wait. You're headed back to the lake.
Yeah,
man, you're living large
it's
this week.
Summertime and heat advisory. You're supposed to hang out in the water.
Well, that's a good point. I guess we'll give you a pass in. All right, go ahead.
So I've got my radio tuned in here to 96.9, and lo and behold, do I hear the voices of two people that had quite the influence in my life coaching. I thought, you know what, I'm a connecting dot in between these two guys, and most people don't know that both of these two fellows coached me in the past.
Well, Andy, I had you in high school, and I can say you were one of the most impressive athletes that I've ever had an opportunity to coach, and a great person to go along with that.
Well, I had the opportunity to coach Andy twice. I coached him in Pee Wee basketball in 4th and 5th and 6th grade.
He about got you fired, you were telling me earlier.
Well, I don't know about that. And then I coached him in summer baseball as well. And like Coach Fowler said, he's a great athlete in every sport and a great person as well. I was fortunate to have him.
Signed with the Blue Jays. Played.
Yeah, I will tell you that. As you kind of look back over your sports career, you kind of start trying to, a little sentimental, and you kind of figure out, who had the most influence and how you ended up turning out the way you did. And y'all two, both of y'all, I have to put y'all on the radar to say, and on my life timeline to say of how influential early on Chris was, for me in elementary. I'll tell some funny stories. We won't tell all of them, but definitely the first time I've ever seen a coach get a technical foul in a game whenever I was in 5th grade. I didn't even know that was possible. I didn't realize we were going to be that intense in 5th grade. But it certainly set the tone for of how we were going to approach basketball in a competitive manner, and coached us extremely hard in elementary, but fair. And it's, I was fortunate to be a good athlete and a good player, but I always needed somebody right in my hind end all the time because I had a little lazy streak in me too. And Tommy Fowler will also concur with that in high school. I always kind of needed a little bit of a push, and both of those coaches here that you got on today were instrumental in kind of molding my desire and work ethic in sports. And so I just wanted to chime in and tell both of them that I appreciate, the investment they make in my sports career. So I just want to chime in and say thank you to both of you guys.
And Andy, you were a part of this American Legion history that we're talking about also, right?
Well, yeah, Craig called me yesterday or maybe a couple of days and sent me a picture of them tearing the field down.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I said, why didn't they ask us permission first? Because, I mean, that's like hallowed ground out there. But, Coach Fowler was talking about we didn't have a baseball field at Nettleton, and he kind of alluded to the construction of ours. The construction of Nettleton's field happened in the spring or winter of my senior year. In my senior year, we were the first team to play on that field in 1994. The spring of 94 was the first time we ever had a baseball field. And that kind of set the stage for the teams pulling out of playing at Legion Field. And, Legion and summer ball kind of had an evolution there for a while, and everybody started traveling. So I can certainly see the times have changed with baseball. But to see that field being demolished, man, there's a lot of memories and a lot of great baseball that's been played out there for decades.
Now, Andy, I have a question for you because I got this text from Craig Miller. Now, Craig says that Coach Fowler would admit, but he does not admit, he absolutely denies the fact that Craig Miller is the greatest athlete of all time as a Nettleton Raider. Do you take issue with that?
Well, I don't know if he's talking about physical athlete or mental athlete. I mean, maybe mental athlete, I'll give him a nod there, but definitely not the physical. I don't know what he's talking about there.
Yeah, he suffers from, speaking of the mental part, he suffers from delusions of grandeur, I think you could say.
You know what? You can never fault somebody for having a high confidence. Low confidence is a struggle for some people, but high confidence, you got to love that about him. I mean, you got to overplay your hand if you don't have a hand to play.
Apparently.
Andy, one thing I wanted to ask you as a player perspective with American Legion Baseball, it was like a traveling wrestling promotion. You'd be in Jonesboro on Sunday and you'll be in Mountain Home on the Monday. You just never knew where you were going. As a young man playing American Legion baseball, how was that for you, playing, 5-6 days a week and double headers and sometime middle of the hot? Some places didn't have lights. What was that? It was traveling ball before there was traveling ball. Talk about your experiences there.
I think that's a great point that it was travel ball before travel ball started because – me growing up, the only competition that I played against really was kind of City League, and it was the best of the best in Jonesboro. And this was the first real opportunity for me at an early age, at 14, 15 years old, to start traveling, outside of Jonesboro to play teams like Batesville and Jacksonville, Hugh Walker was a product of the Jacksonville program out there. In Mountain Home, and we went all the way down to Helena. We played the Blytheville Caissons. So to get us outside of Jonesboro to play a different talent level was a kind of an eye-opener for me because I was pretty successful. I was a good baseball player, and I needed, a challenge and a higher level of competition, and Legion brought that for me. I think it was a great springboard for me to high school and on to professional baseball. So fond memories of Legion baseball.
Thanks for calling in, Andy, and we will return on the front row with Coach Fowler, Coach Ellis on the Ticket Radio Network.
Yeah, because I got some more questions for these guys too when we come back from the break. So
yeah, me too.
Everybody, stay with us. We'll return momentarily on the Ticket Radio Network.
Front Row Media, in cooperation with East Arkansas Broadcasters, presents On the Front Row with Budro. Phone lines are open now at 930-3776. Toll free at 866-930-3776. First-time callers get free food and a really hard time. Now, here's your host of On the Front Row with Budro, Bud Tropel.
It is 8:05 as we jump into hour 2 of today's Front Row program. My name is Randy Myers. Budro continuing to sail the high seas on vacation. He is scheduled to be back in here Monday. Our guest host tomorrow will be my buddy Marcus Carlton, a.k.a. Super Hog from Raider Communications Tubetown. Looking forward to having him in. Today, our guest host is Randy Hales. We're also joined in the studio by Coach Tommy Fowler and Chris Ellis. Coach Fowler, of course, the athletic director currently at the in the Valley View School District. Chris is now the assistant superintendent in the South Side School District over in the Batesville area. And, Coach, I got both of you guys. I have questions for both of y'all, a little bit off subject from what we've been talking about. But I'm curious to know from each of your perspectives, both of you have been involved in high school athletics now for several years. Can you ever recall a spring and summer is what we're going through right now with so much coaching turmoil and so many coaching changes as we've experienced for about the last month and a half and continue to see changes?
It has been a spring, like you said, Randy. We've had a lot of jobs open at Valley View, and,
right.
and we have them all filled now. But we had a lot of coaching changes, not only at Valley View, but also in Northeast Arkansas. A lot of movement.
We've had several jobs open as well, and we're fortunate to have them all filled at this time. But I just think it's a product of our society. It trickles down. You know, the college culture is now about 3 years. If you're not winning, you move on, and it's harder to please the fan base, be it in a public school, college, or pro, or whatever it is nowadays. And social media certainly hasn't helped it. So I think that trend's going to continue, unfortunately.
So that you kind of answered my next question then, Chris. So you think this is something that we maybe should get used to? It's going to kind of be maybe the wave of the future, perhaps?
Well, I mean, for example, when I was young, Coach Bryan at Black Rock and Coach McCurley at Sloan Hendricks.
I remember those guys.
Coach Mr. George at Lynn, they coached there 35, 40 years in one location. That's never going to happen again.
Right.
Because just with the negative comments made in the media, social media realm and community, you know, if you're not winning and win the state championship every year, you can't stay. It makes it very difficult. So it's just the nature of the business, and people need to be realistic when they go into this business on the coaching side. That's the way it is. So every 5 to 7 years, you probably need to do something different.
Do you agree with that, Coach?
It's the outlook is not as rosy as it once was. Just from the standpoint of applications, and when we had our jobs open, the applications were not there. Probably 15, 20 years ago, if you had a job open, you'd get 15 or 20 applications. And now it's just not there. And I don't know exactly what it is. I don't know if people don't want education, they don't want the low pay. But there's a lot of good things in education, and Chris can tell you. And I'm just happy to be in education, and it's been very good to me.
You're a lifer, both of you guys, right?
I hope so.
You know, one thing is we have a few more minutes with Coach Fowler, and Chris is going to hang around as we hear from Michael St. John. Great audio clips coming up with the Power Hour coming up. But I wanted to mention you had some names there, and I don't want to forget anybody, but I want to ask you about a guy I remember when I was doing the PA for you back in the day, and there was a young man, I thought he might end up making something out of himself. He was a hard-nosed, tough kid, and his name is Randy Coleman, and he is the current longtime head coach of the Hurricane. Did you know, Coach Fowler, I'm a Hurricane. Open the roof, let it rain, give them, you know what?
Yeah.
Hurricane.
Hail, give them hail. That's what they say now.
Yeah, class of 1980. We're going to talk about a bunch of people, but there was one incident that I remember from Randy Coleman that proves his toughness. Talk about Randy Coleman and tell what happened there in Mountain Home many years ago with Coach Coleman?
We were in the state tournament, and we were very competitive. But at that time, American Legion Baseball was very competitive around the state. You had teams from Jacksonville. Fort Smith was always good. Little Rock always had 2 or 3 really good teams, Wilkerson, Diesel. But we were I think we were in the semifinals against someone, and Randy was my starting center fielder for 2 years. And Randy was an outstanding baseball player, no doubt about it. He could run, chase it down. He was a good hitter, hit leadoff for me. But this particular day, he catches one in the side of the helmet from a fastball, and I cannot remember who we were playing. Randy probably remembers it, but I cannot. And he goes down. Didn't knock him out, but he was definitely woozy, and we had to get him to the hospital. And I think you were part of that. I was coaching, and
you couldn't leave. And you asked me, you or Daddy Rabbit One or Carlton, somebody asked me, said, "Will you take the kid to the hospital?" So the current coach, and I drive Uber for spare money and do that, and I have Jonesboro High School students. I tell that story a lot, and they think it's cool. And I couldn't remember how he got hurt, but I'm glad you.
Yes, and Randy was, like I said, an outstanding baseball player and an outstanding football coach for Jonesboro. They're very fortunate to have somebody of his caliber there.
Notable names: Butch Snyder,
Steve Carson. When I was coaching at Paragould, Butch Snyder, Steve Carson were on the teams that we always battled. Dave's team, Daddy Rabbit's team, and they were always good and very competitive. Chris played on some of those teams, and then along came Blake Barber, Kevin Hall, a baseball coach from Riverside, a long time. Bill Taylor played on some of those teams. Another outstanding coach, Wade Brown, who is now played Legion ball for me, and he's also the coach at the new coach at Brooklyn now. So there's been a lot of people that I've had a chance to watch grow as coaches in my lifetime.
I got another question for you, Coach. I know you're going to have to go here in a minute, but I want to throw this one at you before you have to skip out. Obviously, American Legion baseball was huge in this year at one time. What in your opinion has led to the demise? I mean, because we don't have near the amount of Legion programs, it seems like, as we did at one time. What's led to that in your opinion?
Back in the day, the American Legion baseball was what you aspired to do.
Right.
The American Legion program around the state was very good, and then the travel thing began to take shape, and the teams. It's sad that Jonesboro doesn't have an American Legion team, but the kids want to showcase, and I can understand that to a point. They want to go out and see people or let other people see them. But if you're good enough, you're going to get seen. I always believe that. We've had our share of people back Andy Shatley was signed by the Blue Jays. Corey Ragsdale was signed by the Mets. So we've had our fair share of people who have been good enough, not only pro ball but college baseball has been very good to a lot of these guys.
And you mentioned Corey, and he's currently managing in the minor leagues now, isn't he?
Corey is the first base coach for the Texas Rangers.
Oh, he's the bigs now.
Yes. When you get a chance and you watch, and I was watching them last night, and they lost a tough one last night to Bill Taylor's Orioles, but Corey has worked his way up the ladder. And
that's impressive.
Yeah, he has worked his way up the ladder, and he is thought very high in that organization at this time. And so we wish him, and I always wish him the best of luck, because he was such an outstanding player and person, and his family was for me.
Joined by Coach Tommy Fowler, Athletic Director at Valley View. The last few minutes with him. Chris Ellis, I wanted you to talk. We both talked about notable names. I want you to talk about players that you played with in American Legion, and then they went on to college, and some with pro sports. Your name dropped a little bit with us.
Well, Coach mentioned Butch Snyder, and Kevin Hall was the second baseman. Steve Carson was the shortstop. Barry Jones, it's at Valley View, was the first baseman on that team. And then Timmy Stallings from Jonesboro played left field, had one of the most dominant pitching years. It'd be like 1983, maybe. I can't remember the years get by, but that team was loaded with talent. I was fortunate. We had a guy leave the team after about a month, and I got to play with those guys. And I wouldn't even where near those caliber. Every one of those guys played collegiately, every single player.
We have a call, and in case the call is a question for for Coach Fowler. Can I take this call before we get
Go
you
ahead.
out of
Yes, go ahead.
here and sit?
Got EJ on line one.
For you. EJ, I appreciate you calling the front row without Budro with Randy Myers and me with Chris Ellis and Tommy Fowler. How are you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great, Randy. How you doing? You got two of the top legends in there. Well, one of them's not too top. He's a little short, but he's still
Hey, you just got insulted. Chris Ellis, questions for
Everybody's short compared to EJ.
I'm talking about mentor. That's been my go-to guy and referee. He's always been there for me. Chris, how you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you doing this morning?
Doing good. Coach Fowler's always good talking to you.
I'm
Hey,
sorry.
well, I got one question. Just a statement, then a question. So, you're talking about American Legion. American Legion just wasn't good just for Jonesboro, but it gave a lot of outside guys opportunities to come in and didn't have the baseball programs. I know down in Truman, I remember when we had some guys that came up and played with you guys. And, Chris, you may remember, I know Coach Fowler will remember. I can't remember the year that Greg White and Greg Wilson played out there, but
that was a little bit.
White,
That was a little bit after I left, but Robert Vincent played from Truman when I was coaching with Andy Shatley in that group, and Robert was an outstanding pitcher. But Greg White was a little bit after that, I believe.
Greg White and Greg Wilson were my teammates. They're a year or two younger than
Greg
me.
is Kane's dad, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's Kane's dad.
Kane, of course, is now the very successful head football coach at Manila.
Greg was the catcher. Greg Wilson was the first baseman. He played, and he had a unique thing. He turned his cap bill up. He wore his cap bill turned up, and he could hit. He could hit more line drives than anybody I ever saw. I mean, he is an unbelievable hitter.
Yeah.
He struck out 3 times, if memory serves me, our entire senior year. He was an amazing hitter. He and Charlie White. Charlie White played first base for us before Greg did. Charlie White from Truman was a heck of a player.
Yep. There were some good guys there, and they gave them opportunity, and other kids too give them opportunities. I hate to see the Legion go, but like you said, when it come in just started getting into the travel ball, that just kind of kills everything. I really hate that. But anyway, I just wanted to call in and mention that. But yeah, outside people could come in and play, and it was really, really good. There were some good teams then. I didn't know you were on that team.
EJ, we appreciate you calling, and we'll be back in the Power Hour at 9. We appreciate everything you've done for me personally, and you've hooked me up with window problems and all that good stuff. Thank you for calling, helping us save the day here today. Thank you, EJ.
Y'all have a great one. Bye-bye.
Well, here we go. Did you ever think years ago, in 1980-something, when you were barking orders at me and giving me lineup sheets and hearing me saying, coaching the American Legion team coach Tommy Fowler, that all these years later, 40 years later, you will be sitting here on the front row with Budro, and I even plugged your son, told a story on you earlier.
You did.
This was a lot of fun.
It's been it's a lot of great memories, and the Legion Field brings back special memories of all the players, and just like EJ said, not only the Jonesboro connection, but I had kids from Mark Tree, Robert Duvall, Josh Gallia, and I had them from Pocahontas, Mark Gaines, Bart Jones from West Side, David Phelps from West Side. I had so many. I had the opportunity to be able to coach so many of the kids in the area, not just within the city limits of Jonesboro or Nettleton, and I'm just fortunate for that.
I thank you so much for sticking with us. I know you have school to go to.
Yes, I got to go punch the time clock this morning.
I hope you're not in trouble.
Maybe I won't be.
Anything you want to plug?
It's just that, Randy. It's just good to see you. It's been so long, and you were a part of the program, and I was just happy to be there. And I think we loved it, and we put forth the effort. We've talked about Dave Russell and Daddy Rabbit, and Carlton Gray, and the Elwood family of taking care of the fields. And there's so many people that did some things that not any just taken for granted, but there was a lot of work to make the program successful.
And I think Jonesboro doesn't have an American Legion program, but I read an article the other day. Paragoul's.
Yeah, Paragoul's still got a.
Randy Smith, my old American Legion teammate, and he played professional ball in the Angel organization. He's probably one of the longest tenured American Legion coaches in the state at this time, along with the coach at Mountain Home, Lester. Chris, help me, Lester. What's Lester's last name? I
can't recall.
Yeah, but they're probably the two of the longest tenured American Legion coaches going on right now in the state of Arkansas.
Coach, we'll get you out of here, my friend.
Thank you very much,
Coach.
Randy.
Thanks for sitting
Myers,
in with us. I'm sure
and
I'll see you again soon. Football will be here before we both know it.
It'll be here before we can blink an eye.
Absolutely.
Chris Ellis, thank you so much. You've meant a lot to me in my lifetime. I appreciate everything.
I appreciate you very much.
If Cal does anything sneaky, give me a phone call.
I will do that.
But he won't. Good kid.
Thank all of you very much.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate
you being here. This was a lot of fun. As the front row with Budro continues so far, it is about 8:20, and we have had a ball. Now, Randy, I'm going to throw you under the bus. Bud does it all the time. So
yeah, I'm used to it. Go ahead.
I feel that if I don't, you'll be sad if I don't throw you underneath the bus. Your stress level was pretty high. You weren't worried about the rest of an hour, 9 to 10 at all.
No.
But the first 2 hours, you were a little bit worried about having phone calls, and we haven't had a lot of phone calls, but we haven't had time to have phone calls.
That's true. We haven't.
This has been great, and we have the wrestling hour coming up at 9 o'clock. But I want to tell everybody,
40 minutes away.
We want to talk about American Legion baseball. We continue that. We'll talk about the Cardinals. We'll talk about everybody's 4th of July plans. A lot to talk about, and you certainly can call the Ritter Communication Hotline at 870-930-3776. Now, Randy, one more thing to you real quick. My producer of my shows that's been here as a guest, Adam Dunn sent me a text, and he said, I don't feel sorry for Randy Myers at all. Said he's complaining he's having to put up with you for 3 hours today. Said I have to put up with you for 3 shows a week.
I don't know how he does it.
Because
my hat's off to you, Adam. I'll just say that.
Because he gets it. He gets live radio. He gets excitement. Who will we be talking to when I push this red button over here?
We will welcome the pride of Light, Arkansas, Miss Lisa.
I wanted to talk to her, and I'm going to get her on the air. It's the front row with Budro, Chris Ellis, Assistant Superintendent of Southside. Randy Myers is here, and of course I am. And from Light, Arkansas, I hope she's ready for my question. I have a question for her.
Okay, go with it. Let me say this first.
Okay.
This heat has just about took my voice away.
It's apt to get worse, too.
Show,
I said
Randy?
I said the heat's apt to get worse, too, the way it's looking.
I know it. Y'all are outstanding this morning.
Well, Randy didn't have any confidence.
On you.
Randy didn't have any confidence. More than anything,
no, wait a minute. You're really throwing me under the bus. It ain't that bad.
Hey, you like it intense. I'm just trying to do a little. I'm working, Randy.
All right,
I'm working.
Go ahead.
Okay. Anyway.
Do your thing, man. Roll with it.
Okay, what's my question before I die? I can fall dead at any time.
Well, Lisa, I can't have you dead. We can't have you dead. Here's the question, and I want to talk about the Razorbacks a little bit. And I got my answers, and I want your answers. And right now, we'll just talk about the football and certainly the recruiting class of 2023. I think I read.
Ain't it great?
I think they're ranked number 6, and I think they should be higher than that. But it made me think of the great job Sam Pittman is doing at a program that has got pretty low. Here's my question, and we will take this poll with everybody here. I want to know Miss Lisa's very favorite football coach with the Razorbacks ever, and also, and Randy has already told me off the air what your answer to be to my second question. Your least favorite Razorback coach. Start with the least favorite.
My favorite.
Okay.
That stands above them all is Frank Broyles.
Okay.
The worst, which he was a counterfeit. He was an idiot.
Express yourself. Express yourself. Tell her like it is.
And that was Chad Morris. Now I'm mad.
Did I call it?
Yes.
Now, can I give you mine, Lisa? Please?
Yeah.
My least favorite is the same as you. My least favorite is Chad Morris. My favorite is different because I'm a few years younger than you. Lou Holtz is my favorite.
Well, now, I love Lou Holtz, too, and I love Ken Hamlin, and I liked Bobby Petrino. I like more than I dislike.
Hey, we have to go to break. Can you hold on through the break?
Oh, yeah, I ain't got nothing to do but burn up.
The front row?
I'm in menopause.
Oh, no, man. We got special guests here today. The front row with Budro, Randy Myers, Randy Hales, right along ringside. Here we go.
On the Front Row with Bud and Randy is presented by Alexander's Machine Shop, your job shop machine shop, and powered by Wings to Go, sports and wings. Life is good. And brought to you by Branching Out Tree Services, by Safe Ship, specialty shipping and printing, by Pizza Chef, the best pies in town for almost 30 years, Community Fellowship Church, by Gateway Tire and Service Center, more than just tires, by Empower, high-speed internet in your neck of the woods, by Demo Smokehouse Barbecue, now in 2 locations, by The Social at Hilltop, the most unique dining and entertainment spot in years, by Munchies, the original sandwich shop, by Tucker's Appliance Superstore, more selections than ever before, by Express Pawn in Jonesboro and Paragould, look for the oval sign, by Pack Mail, packing, shipping, and so much more, by Plaza Tire Service, the quick change artist, by Southern Home Healthcare, the right choice in oxygen and medical equipment for the home, by Forest Office Machines, your authorized Sharp dealer. Here's your Front Row forecast.
Sunny and hot basically sums it up for the rest of the entire week. It'll be a high of about 102 today, heat index factor of 107. More of that tomorrow with a high of 101. Excessive heat warnings are in effect for both today and tomorrow. Tonight will be mostly clear with a low of 81. Friday calls for a 20% chance of afternoon showers and thunderstorms with a high of 102 and only a heat advisory in effect, as at least for now, for Friday. Currently in Jonesboro, fair skies, 86 degrees at the EAB studios on Parker Road. As we continue along with hour 2 of On the Front Row, we've got Randy Hales here as our guest host, and we welcome Miss Lisa back via the Ritter Communications hotline.
Okay, Lisa, I have something else. Now, I want to say that Bud has said, and I want you to listen to every word I say before you interrupt me. And,
all right, I will not interrupt.
Okay, and start saying that word that you said earlier.
Anyway, idiot.
I know you didn't say idiot. We won't talk about that right now.
Menopause.
Oh, yes. You said it a second time.
Well, you goaded her into it. You asked her. You invited her.
You're going to get me cancel my radio career started today, and it's going to end today because of Miss Lisa. Anyway, Lisa, here, let's calm down.
Okay, I'll be quiet now.
Yeah, be quiet now because I want to tell you. Bud has told me in the past that you are a ASU hater, and I know that's not true. And here's I want you to help me with this conversation here, and I will give you my answers. First, we were asking you about the Razorbacks. We were talking about the recruiting class that was ranked 6th in the nation. Well, the Arkansas State class is probably good, but it's nowhere near 6. My question is...
Tops in the Sun Belt, though.
Tops in the Sun Belt, and that's absolutely fantastic. But my question is, Arkansas State University favorite head football coach and least favorite, and my least favorite, I believe he was from Alabama, guys, Ray Perkins. Isn't that where he was from?
Yeah.
Ray Perkins was my least favorite of all time, and my favorite is Coach Larry Lacewell. And I'll throw in the fact that my favorite, even though Mike Bilodeau is a friend of mine, Nelson Catalina, who I've never met, but I attended as a fan. Nelson Catalina is absolutely my favorite ASU basketball coach, and Bilodeau will get met. And let me throw one more thing in. Randy had reached out to Mike Bilodeau, and I did too, to be a guest, and Mike was going to come in, and you're the substitute for Coach Mike Bilodeau, because he was going to come in at 7:45 and do the wrestling hour with us. His wife, and Randy, you and I have talked about this, his wife's father was put in hospice a couple of nights ago. So I just wanted to, on behalf of Front Row with Budro and Randy and everybody here, our thoughts and prayers to Alicia Bilodeau. And Coach, I appreciate the fact that you were going to come in here. Now, talk about ASU, your favorite and your least favorite basketball and football coach, if you would, Lisa.
Well, I would say, I don't have a dog in the ASU fight.
Oh, I know.
Really,
you hate
I don't.
him.
But having said that,
Okay.
probably my favorite ASU football coach, I think it would be Larry Lacewell.
Yeah, same as
Because he
mine.
went on later on to the Cowboys, and I love the Cowboys.
Oh, yeah, sure you do. And let's go ahead, as Miss Lisa from Light, Arkansas is in the house, and we're still on the air, but I want to ask my guest, my friend Chris Ellis, favorite ASU football coach of all time, least favorite of all time?
Oh, my favorite was Coach Lacewell, because I obviously had the honor to know him, and we just recently lost him. But his what he did for our program, and I was fortunate to be at ASU in the '80s during those great teams, and I had a lot of great players. Good memories of those times. My least favorite is probably a guy that no one even thinks about, but Joe Hollis came from Ohio State.
That's who I was going to say.
Yeah,
you
and we
stole my answer.
Louisiana Tech was beating us 35-0 at the end of the first quarter, and at home. We've had season tickets. My family has since 1974. So I got up and left, and I said I wouldn't come back till he wasn't there, because I try to be supportive of coaches, because I'm from a coaching background, but that was difficult to watch, and I wasn't a big fan of that.
Randy,
Randy, I've got a question for that guy right quick. I like his answer there. I got a question for him. I want to interrupt you.
His name is not that guy. It's the assistant superintendent of the Southside school system. His name is Chris Ellis.
Well, Chris.
Yes, ma'am.
As a fan, isn't this true? We're not mushrooms out here planted in a field, whether we've got a coaching background or not. We can see when the quality on the field is crap. We can see that, can't we?
Well, everyone who buys a ticket.
Yes or no?
Well, I guess I can't just say conclusively yes. But everybody buys a ticket has a right to give their viewpoint on what they observe, yes, or what they deem to be good or not good, or quality or not quality. Yes, I would agree with that.
Hey, let's Randy Myers answer that question. Favorite football coach, least favorite football coach?
Favorite football coach at A-State would have been it's actually a toss-up for me. Lacewell obviously is one. 1B would probably be Coach Bull Davidson, because when I was a kid and started going to A-State games back in the 70s, he was the coach. And I went to my first games in 74, the first season in what's now known as Centennial Bank Stadium. At that time, it was just Indian Stadium. And then, of course, that 75 team, that very next year went 11-0, and I pretty much if my interest was already pretty high, but by the end of that 75 season, A-State football had set its hooks in me, and have been a fan for life. So I would say Lacewell and Davidson's my favorites. My least favorite would probably be Joe Hollis is in the running, Chris, but Al Kincaid, you remember him?
Yes, sir, I do.
That guy was he was just a joke. He was terrible.
That's who I would
his
say.
defensive players didn't even know where to line up. That's how bad they were. And he's going to be my least favorite. For basketball, Catalina is definitely my favorite. Least favorite's probably going to be John Brady.
Brady would be mine too. Miss Lisa joins us on the Reader.
I agree with Catalina and Brady. And I had something on my mind I was going to tell you or ask you.
Real quick,
it flew through there. Maybe it'll fly back through.
Hold on, Lisa. I have a question for you. I'm going to throw throw a date at you, and I want to know if it's a yay or nay, if you're going or not. I want to throw a date out on Saturday, September the 2nd at Memorial Stadium in Little Rock.
War Memorial.
The War Memorial Stadium in Little Rock. I want to know if you're going to watch the Razorbacks and Western Carolina.
No, we don't go to the Little Rock games anymore because you'll get a bullet to your head walking from the parking lot to the stadium. And our butts have spread just a little bit as we've both got older. And they've got like a 6-inch place for your bottom end to sit. And you have no leg room. And we just put all of our efforts and time and what little money we can and go on to Fayetteville and stay the weekend. So, no, I will not be there.
Okay, the second date I want to talk to you about is Saturday, September the 9th in Fayetteville, where the Razorback hosts Kent State. Are you going to attend that?
As of right now, yes. Yes. My tickets are ordered. I'm going to every, because I don't know. I had that heart attack Christmas Eve of all days.
Hey, Lisa, I'm getting the wrap up here. I appreciate you calling. You can call back in the 9 o'clock hour. Thanks so much for listening today. It's been fun to have you on here.
Well, go home.
Thank you, Lisa.
Go Red Wolves. There's 3 of us right here. Go Blazers. Go Raiders. Go Hurricane. Man, we're all about it. All about it,
Hey,
Randy
speaking
Myers.
of football, Chris, with your position there at Southside, now Southside's moving into 5A and for football this year, right?
Yes, sir, that's correct. We're moving to 5A.
Is there a lot of what's the feeling around? I mean, is there mixed opinions about that, or is it most everybody in the fan base and the coaches, are they pretty excited about that? What's the feeling on the move to 5A football for the Southerners?
Well, I feel like overall it's positive. I think everybody's energized by the fact we're also going to play the school north of the river every year. And
how huge will that be?
That'll be huge. It'll be huge. So that's a big deal in our community. Coach Simpson and his staff are excited. Kids are excited. We had a really good squad last year and did really well. We can get into discussions on conferences and playing 5A in football and 4A and other sports and all that. That's a discussion for another time. But
sure.
In the immediate future, playing football, I think there's a lot of excitement for it.
What kind of a team are they expecting, just from your perspective?
Well, I mean, we'll still be pretty good. Now, we lost an outstanding group,
right?
A large group of seniors that could really play. So the timing wasn't great for us, but we've still got good players coming back and more good groups coming. So I feel like we'll be fine in the long term. Just a numbers game. We're by far the smallest 5A school in the classification. Not even close.
And did you just jump up?
Yeah, for 5A.
Yes, sir. We just moved up.
First year.
Yeah, this will be our first year.
Did that make you nervous?
No. I mean, it's competition. It's competition.
What was BB?
We were 5A.
So you're used to that whole...
Well, we were in the 5A Central. There's pro athletes in the 5A Central, so that's a different level there.
The one more segment on this normal version of I don't know if anything that has to do with me is normal, but the Power Hour at 9 o'clock.
As normal as it gets, anyway.
We have one more segment. Having a blast at the front row with Budro. Call us up at 870-930-3776 on the Reader Communication Hotline.
8:45, one more segment before we hit the power hour and go exclusively wrestling talk at the top of the hour. As we said, you can give us a call on the Rare Communications hotline and get you through on the Ticket Radio Network.
This country made me who I am. I thank God I'm American. Oh, American. I feel like waking up. I've had this dream before. I take this one step.
Here is your front row forecast for Northeast Arkansas. As we mentioned earlier, sunny and hot to rule the rest of the week. 102 will be the high today. The heat index will be in the 107-degree range. There is an excessive heat warning in effect both today and tomorrow. Mostly clear tonight, low of 81. Sunny and hot again tomorrow with a high of 101. And a 20% chance of showers and thunderstorms Friday afternoon with a high of 102. We go from an excessive heat warning today and tomorrow to only a heat advisory for Friday, for what that's worth. Currently, it's fair and 87 in Jonesboro as we say hello once again to Randy Hales and Chris Ellis.
25 days since Jonesboro, Arkansas has seen rain. So, Chris, you live...
And we are, as you mentioned earlier, we are technically under a burn ban in Craighead County now.
Took further notice, the mayor says.
Yeah.
Chris, let me know, when's the last time you saw rain in Southside?
Actually, day before
Oh,
yesterday,
no. Get him out of here. Kick him.
Hang on. Let me get his mic.
Yeah.
The button was sticking on his mic.
Yeah.
Oh.
Actually,
Sorry
day
about that.
before yesterday, we had a thunderstorm at Southside. For about 30 minutes, we had a torrential downpour.
When was this?
Day before yesterday.
Okay.
I'm jealous, Randy.
Me too.
And now, across the river, they didn't get anything in town, but right where we lived, it moved on toward the southeast, I think. But we had a thunderstorm, but other than that, not much.
One of the things I think that I love about local radio and these shows and the Ticket Network, it's for the community, it's local and that sort of thing, and it's community service you have to do. And certainly people, the couple of things that I'd like to mention. First of all, if you're going out, it's so brutal out there. Whatever it is outside, be careful, drink a lot of water.
Make sure you hydrate and take plenty of breaks.
Absolutely. And if you go, my advice, if you go to the lake and if you go swimming, first of all, don't do stuff dumb. Don't start drinking at 10 o'clock in the morning. There's we're talking about on Greer's Ferry Lake, and my niece and her husband has a place on the lake out there, and there's been 3 people already this year that's passed away. Just be real careful. Now, I saw showed some love to the Razorbacks just through Miss Lisa, and I could care less to tell you the truth about that. And I want to talk about Arkansas State. Blake Anderson had a good run here, and then it started going down, and he ended up doing a very good job of where he ended up. I think it was
Utah State.
State. But
he had a great first year there.
Butch Jones, been to Tennessee, was associated with the Alabama program, big deal, and last year was his first year, but I'm not going to at all in any way, because I like every promo. I know my buddy Brandon Baxter really likes him. I think he will do a good job for this program. I think he had to start from square one as a coach. You know how that is. When you have to start from square one, I think he's doing it. And I just want to throw it out here that the first home game is on Saturday, September the 3rd, with the Grambling State Tigers, and that's the first game. And then on Saturday, September the 17th, I might like to go. Maybe me and Randy Myers can go to this one. Maybe go see the Tigers at Liberty Bowl Memorial Stadium, and then I don't think they return to Jonesboro to October the 1st. They play ULM. So, Randy, you lived through it. You heard all about it, all the talk. Last year, they won 2 games. Right. However, I'm real confident in the team. I think the guy has a plan. I think he will execute the plan. The conference is adding teams. It'll be a little harder. But your thought on this next football season. How are you excited about it?
Yeah, I am. I'm looking forward to it. I do think they will be improved. How much better they will be, I don't know yet. It's hard to say. But, I mean, I don't think you can really – I don't think last year was a fair judge or representation of what we'll typically see from in terms of Butch Jones football. I'm thinking that, they can improve from the 2 wins last year to
I think 5.
I think 5 or 6 might are probably within. I think that's an attainable goal probably for this year, and anything beyond that's just gravy.
So you don't still come to the Arkansas State. You're a graduate of Arkansas State.
No, we've had season tickets, the same seats since '74. We still sit there every week.
So you go every time?
Yes, sir. Every time I can. Yeah.
So what do you think coming up on Butch Jones' second year here as a Red Wolf coach? Your thoughts on this season and this very first game? You were looking at my notes and my schedule on Saturday, September the 3rd. It's at 7 o'clock, a Grambling State. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I think we'll win that game. They're an FCS team, and I think we're better than them.
It'll be on ESPN 3.
Yeah, I'll be at the game. It's all about recruiting, and Coach Jones is an excellent football coach, had success in the past, and based on what you see on recruiting rankings for his first 2 years, he's recruiting well. And it's all about players. The best players win. That's why Alabama wins, because they get the best players. So that's what you got to have as players.
Hey, Randy, what if you look back and you're a longtime Arkansas State fan, what would you say your favorite era, not your favorite coach, your favorite era of Arkansas State football?
Oh, that's a tough one. I really had a lot of – most recently would probably be the 11 and 12 seasons, the Hugh Freeze and Gus Malzahn season. Those were just – the Hugh Freeze year, the 2011 season was so much fun because we had just made such a big turnaround. I mean, the last few years under Coach Roberts had been kind of mediocre, I guess would be the best way to put it. I felt like Coach Roberts got the most out of the program for the hand that he was dealt. But when Freeze took over, he just brought a new level of excitement and energy, and he got the players believing in themselves. Because I think that was one of the things that had kind of dropped off the last couple of years under Roberts. When they lost, I think they just kind of expected it. It didn't really bother them a whole lot. And I can remember when Freeze's first year, they lost that opener to Illinois. And they kind of took it in stride like, well, we were supposed to lose that game. They weren't really bothered by it. And that really upset him. And I think he got into some people's ears in the locker room after that game and kind of just changed the culture. And I've always maintained that if they had played Illinois a month later in the schedule, they'd have won that game by 2 or 3 touchdowns. Don't you think so, Chris?
Yeah, I think there's a good possibility that could happen without question.
So that's probably my favorite era, at least in terms of recent. But of course, I mean, like I said earlier, when I started going as a kid in '74 and '75, that was a tremendous time to be an A-State fan. And then, of course, the run that Lacewell had in the mid '80s with all his, 4 or 5 teams, consecutive teams that made the postseason playoffs.
One quick question: favorite coach between Freeze, Malzahn, and what was the third guy? Harsin?
Harsin, yeah.
Harsin, favorite of the 3.
Of those 3?
Yes.
I got to study on that one.
I say Hugh Freeze. How about you?
Freeze.
Probably Freeze. It's maybe a toss-up between Freeze and Malzahn.
The Power Hour with Michael St. John. Join us if we can find him. The Front Row with Budro continues. Good morning.
This is
Front Row Media, in cooperation with East Arkansas Broadcasters, presents On the Front Row with Budro. Phone lines are open now at 930-3776. Toll free at 866-930-3776. First-time callers get free food and a really hard time. Now, here's your host of On the Front Row with Budro, Bud Tropel.
Power Pro Wrestling.
And we welcome you back to the front row as we jump into Hour 3, which, of course, is the Power Hour. Randy Hales is in the house. Also, our guest, Chris Ellis, is here. Randy, take it away, man.
Hey, I see this button lighting up. Do we have a call?
Well, let me see. I believe we might. You want to take it live, or you me screen it for you?
I will go ahead and take it live. It's Randy Hales, Chris Ellis, and Randy Meyer. Front row with Budro. Hello.
Hey, Randy, it's Zach.
Hey, Zach, what's going on, buddy? Have you enjoyed the show today?
Hey, man, you're doing a good job. You guys are manning the ship while Bud's out.
This ain't my first rodeo, brother. It's not my first rodeo.
Oh, hey, you don't got to remind me. I know you're a veteran.
Now, I want to lead off and ask you the questions that I've asked the panel here, and I asked Lisa, your favorite Razorback football coach of all time, your least favorite, and then we'll do the same thing with Arkansas State. Favorite and least favorite. And by the way, Chris Ellis, this is Zach, and Zach's favorite wrestler of all time is Sid Vicious, no doubt about that. Now, answer my questions, Zach. Answer my questions. Smarten me up.
I like the job that Pittman's done. Be honest with you, he's slowly becoming my favorite Razorback coach. I wasn't alive back in the day, pre-1980. But I got to see some of Hatfield. I see Hatfield and of course, Houston Nutt. Bobby Pete did a good job. He wasn't there long enough. I wish he would have, not been messing around behind his significant other's back and ruined that for us. But, I got to go with Pittman, though. Pittman's kind of restored my faith in Arkansas Razorback football.
How about least favorite? North?
Oh, man. Smile!
John.
Yeah.
John L.
Smith.
Yeah.
John L.
That was an experiment that went awry quickly.
And a close second is Chad Morris. Looks like the banjo player from Deliverance.
How about Arkansas State? Do you? What would you say?
Well, I like Nelson Catalina. I like the Cat. He
Me
might be
too.
my favorite coach. Period. In all of ASU sports. Cat.
Yeah, that's
I grew
pretty
up in the '90s, teenager in the '90s, and he, watching the Indians, and he's been my favorite. Hands down.
We have Chuck waiting online too, but we hadn't talked wrestling yet, Zach. So, do you have a wrestling conversation for us today?
I got a few things right quick. I won't take long. I know Chuck's on hold, like you said, but what do you think about this blood and guts? This 5-man, 6-man tag. You got Team Moxley versus Team Jericho, and of course they bring all the weapons in the ring. And I've never seen a hardcore match where chopsticks and a bottle of rubbing alcohol was used. I think it's. I don't know. They're trying too hard to shock and awe the audience, but.
And they got a
guy use chopsticks on somebody to fight.
They got a good rating out of it, and I watched. It was an hour match on national television. An hour match. There were all kinds of stuff. Randy and Chris, it was crazy. They got a good number. You hadn't argued with that, but sometimes you can do something, and then how do you follow it? That's what I think, Zach. How do you follow that? Now, what will they come back and do? This is Wednesday, so they're coming back tonight with the show. It did a lot of success in the ratings. It really did. A lot of good talk. And the part of the match that I saw was exciting, but I didn't watch the whole thing. Our cage match, I just don't want to do.
I don't think John Moxley will ever be a Mick Foley or a Terry Funk in hardcore. He's trying to be so hardcore it hurts. He can't have a regular match. He's got to bring everything in the damn ring, including the kitchen sink. And I think he may be the most overrated wrestler today.
I certainly don't think think he wouldn't have in the Attitude Era or the glory days of Memphis Wrestling, but I think Moxley is very, very good. Anything else? Any other wrestling conversations?
Yeah, well, I want to ask you this.
Okay.
You know, when you go to some of these wrestling shows and you do a walk around before the card kicks off and you meet and greet the wrestlers, you know, who were some of the most obnoxious wrestlers? Like Jake the Snake, for example. I've heard horror stories about him, how he was drawing mustaches on the fans' faces when they'd ask for an autograph, and he was being extremely rude. I remember when I went to the one back in 2016 and 2017 at Earl Bell, and Tommy Rich, you know, I was like, "Hey, Tommy, can I get you to sign this wrestling card?" He goes, "Let me tell you something, what, brother? If you buy this Memphis Mafia picture, I'll sign your picture and I'll sign your card for $20." And he was like trying to haggle me on the price. You know, I would
guess, Jack, I would guess he had a little alcohol in him. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of my career, you know, I was paying them. They wasn't going to be rude to me.
Yeah.
We got lights lighting up like a son of a gun, Zach. Anything else?
Well, I didn't know that Bill Dundee's another one. He was never rude to me, but I didn't know Bud Light had made a cologne. You know, because he smelled just like he'd finished a 30-pack, and he smelled like Bud Light cologne. I mean,
normally, Bill was from that era that I don't remember if I ever saw him drink at the matches. After the matches, for sure. I appreciate you calling in, Zach.
All right, see you, man.
All right, we have somebody on line 2. Hello.
It's Chuck.
Hey, Chuck, what's going on, buddy?
Not much, Randy. Hey, first of all, let me tell you, man, your show has been a lot better than what the TMC's was yesterday.
You're just mad because you got dropped.
No. You know, I've been trying real hard all year to be nice to the TMC.
Yeah.
And he had to go and run that yesterday, so.
The feud continues, I expect. The feud will continue.
It will now.
It's definitely. I would say that. Yeah, it's been upped a little bit, I think.
Hey, we have Michael St. John, the voice of the debut video, Hulk Hogan. We have that audio and also the Kamala video. He's on standby. But Chuck, do you have any wrestling questions to ask us on the Power Hour this morning?
No, Randy, I just called in, man, to tell you I enjoyed your show today. And you are doing a fine job. I wish you'd fill in for Bud more often when he's not there.
I make them nervous around here. To tell you the truth, because I ain't all there. I am a freak. I'm a freak in prep and all that. And if I'm going to be on a show, I'm going to drive the creative on whatever I do. I'll just take over. But anyway, it's been a lot of fun. I appreciate it, Chuck. Thanks for watching.
I got one quick question real quick because I didn't get to hear all about the American Legion.
All right.
Have they said what they're going to build at the old stadium?
No.
I don't think anybody knows, at least in our circle anyway.
Nobody knows, but it was certainly great time. Thanks a lot, Chuck.
You're welcome. Y'all have a great day.
Right beside me, to my left, is a co-host of Talking Memphis Wrestling. We've talked about him during the whole show. And now, from the Huntsville, Alabama area, he is a legend in broadcasting. Many great runs as a professional wrestling announcer, a major programmer in the Memphis market, the Nashville market, the St. Louis market, the Phoenix market, the California market, a legend, and in August will be a member of the Alabama Broadcasting Association Hall of Fame. We make welcome to the front row with Budro. Certainly one, I've got one here to my left, and now we're bringing on the air a member. Proudly, I am proud to have him, a supporter and a member of my inner circle in real life. Welcome to the front row with Budro, Michael St. John.
I appreciate that. That was a classic introduction, and the most honored I am is to be your friend and have known you for many years, and thank goodness that the good Lord has been good to us.
Now, Go ahead, Chris Ellis. Coach, say hello to Michael.
Good morning, Michael. How are you doing today?
Hey, Coach, good talking to you. I'm sorry I can't see you guys, but good talking to you anyway.
And we're joined by the co-host of the show that's looking forward to talking wrestling today. I'll let him say hi to you.
Morning, Michael.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Now let's talk, and you have something to do. We got to get you out of here. I didn't tell Randy this. We have to get him out of here by 10 minutes till, so we got plenty of time. Your involvement as announcer in professional wrestling started for Nick Goulas in the 70s, in the 77, something like that. Am I correct on that, Michael?
Yeah, except for a few weeks that I got to sit in at the Cook Convention Center when Jerry Jarrett first split off from Nick Goulas. It was during the interim time between the moving of the TV show from Channel 13 to Channel 5, and I got to do 3 or 4 weeks at the Cook Convention Center early on with Jerry Lawler and Jerry Jarrett, and that was my baptism, if you would. And then going to work for Nick Goulas in 1977 was a true inspiring career moment for me, and I had good graces and good luck and good fortune and good friends, and I was able to do wrestling in many different venues, including the world-famous Sportatorium in Dallas.
All right.
ESPN for a short period.
Now, I want you to set up, we have an audio clip on standby, and that audio clip, and then there's 2 that I want to show, and then I want to talk about one other thing involving your announcing career, but the Hogan debut video that you did the voiceover work on. Before we hear from it, Michael, just tell the story. Who called you? How much did you get paid? Because I'm sure it's a tremendous, because I know the amount. This will blow your mind, Randy. But just tell us how it was set up, and then we'll go to the audio of the Hogan video from 1979.
Well, the premise was, once TV went to Channel 5 in Memphis, I was sort of the odd man out and became the third wheel, if you would, and I was the guy back in Hendersonville, back in Nashville, that would do the voiceovers or do the cards or do whatever is necessary at Randy Westhouse. And
who is listening today, by the way. Randy is listening. He says hi to you, and he says hi to Chris Myers and my friend Randy West. He hadn't said hello to you yet, Randy, but I'm sure he will.
All right.
Okay, Michael, go ahead.
Well, let me tell you, Randy West is one of the finest people that you will ever know. If you ever have a chance to meet him, he's just a great guy. We have a fabulous friendship, and he's just a fabulous guy. But one day I got a call from Jerry Jarrett, and he said, Michael, and at the time I was operations manager and vice president of programming for Kicks 104, which was the #1 station in Nashville starting in 1981 rather. And anyway, I got a call one afternoon, and he says, I need you to do a voiceover for me. He says, I need it quick. He says, I'll give you the premise, and if you'll go by Randy's house, he'll show you the video. If you can write something up and produce it, we need about a 35, 45-second montage of, we've got this big guy coming in, and he's real muscular. We've done a video on him. We want to match the audio. So, okay, fine, no problem. So that afternoon, after I got off work, I lived a few blocks away from Jerry and Randy's home, and stopped in, saw the video. Great shot, great, it was in its planning stages, but they did great audio, great video work. So I took down some notes, went back to the station, and within about 15 minutes or so, I cut the audio, and they liked what they heard, and they used it. And the music bed I used was just a generic one of these things you get on back then a drop needle on a record, and you got to play the track, and I used it behind it. And somewhere between the time that the video was produced at Jarrett by Randy West for Jarrett Promotions and the time it got to be shown nationally in Minneapolis and New York, the tape got stretched on the audio. So there's a little blip in it. I don't know if many people will hear it. The music sort of goes, and just for a half a second, and that's always bothered me a little bit. But I was able to do it. I was honored to do it, and after Hogan became a worldwide phenomenon, the thing was played. In fact, I think it's got over 4 million views on
that's
YouTube.
great.
And it's huge.
How much you get paid, Michael?
$25.
That's yeah. He does a video, audio. Randy, did you hear what he said? Over millions of people that have watched it. He got $25. $25, and we want to go and we want to come back after this, and you talk about it more. This is the legendary video, audio voiceover from Michael St. John in 1979.
This man is not a television illusion. He is not an artist's conception. He is not a figment of the imagination. He is real. He stands an amazing 6'7" tall. He weighs an incredible 324 pounds. He is the Hulk. The Hulk, without a doubt, is the most awesome figure in professional wrestling today. His measurements are almost unbelievable. His neck measures 24 3/4 inches. His chest expands to an incredible 59 inches. His biceps are 26 inches, and at the end of these powerful arms are two 12-inch fists. This magnificent upper body tapers off to only a 34-inch waist. The Hulk is supported by tree-like legs that can leg press over 1,900 pounds. Combine these amazing measurements with more brute strength than you can imagine, and you have the Hulk. And the Hulk is coming here.
Boy.
Michael, great job on that, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
We're on the front row with Budro. We're having fun on a Wednesday morning. Now, set up the Kamala video shoot. Set that up for us, Michael.
A little bit different, about the same though. You got a call. We got a little more lead time on it because it wasn't a pressure pack, got to have it right now kind of thing. And I think of the two videos, personally, I think I did a better job on the Kamala video. There were several others that were done within that time period, and really took a lot of. It excited me when I had a chance to work on a project like that, because most of the time they'd leave the verbiage up to me, or at least would give me a good outline of the verbiage where I could create from there, from what their notes were. And I'm fortunate to have an English degree from Vanderbilt when I was in college there, and I've been able to wordsmith all my life, or BS all my life, however you want to say it. But the Kamala video was just a little bit more lighthearted, a little bit more fun, a little bit more mysterious, if you would. And so I had a fun time doing that. That was put together over about a 2.5, 3 day period. And by the way, I did get $25 for that one also.
Oh, my goodness. And that lasted forever from 1982. Michael St. John on the audio for the Kamala debut video. Here we go.
Largest animals known to man.
The Kamala video. We'll be back, and we continue with Michael St. John on the Ticket Radio Network.
Call in to On the Front Row with Budro. 870-930-3776. 870-930-3776.
On the Front Row with Bud and Randy is presented by Alexander's Machine Shop, your job shop machine shop, and powered by Evolve Bank and Trust. Everything you never expected from a bank. And brought to you by Branching Out Tree Services, by Safe Ship, specialty shipping and printing, by Pizza Chef, the best pies in town for almost 30 years, Community Fellowship Church, by Gateway Tire and Service Center, more than just tires, by Empower, high-speed internet at your neck of the woods, by Demo Smokehouse Barbecue, now in 2 locations, by The Social at Hilltop, the most unique dining and entertainment spot in years, by Munchies, the original sandwich shop, by Tucker's Appliance Superstore, more selections than ever before, by Express Pawn in Jonesboro and Paragould. Look for the oval sign. By Pack Mail, packing, shipping, and so much more. By Plaza Tire Service, the quick change artist. By Southern Home Healthcare, the right choice in oxygen and medical equipment for the home. By Forest Office Machines, your authorized Sharp dealer. Here's your Front Row forecast.
Sunny and hot for today, tomorrow, and Friday. Highs will be in the 101 to 102 range. Heat index factor of 107 today with an excessive heat warning for both today and tomorrow. Tonight will be mostly clear with a low of 81. Friday brings a 20% chance of showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon with a high of 102 and only a heat advisory for Friday. Currently in Jonesboro, we have fair skies and 90 degrees at the EAB studios as we continue with the Power Hour now with Randy Hales and guests.
Appreciate it very much, Randy Myers. About 30 minutes to go, and let's go back to Huntsville, Alabama. Let's go back to the talk about the Kamala video debut. Michael, when you did that video, I'm sure you did not meet the guy, right? How did that all go? Did you see any of the video, or did you do the audio first?
No, I think Randy had most of the video already shot, so I saw a rough draft of what was going to be on the video and saw the guy, and it just gave me gave me a sort of a lead as to what to do and how to write it. And that just it was done a lot, like I said, with a lot more preparation, a lot more lead time than the Hogan video.
Now, as you were doing that audio, let's talk about both guys. The Hogan deal, you did that. Did you think, well, this guy will be one of the biggest stars in the history of wrestling? And then later on in '82, when you did the Kamala video, did you say this guy will main event all over the world? What did you, as you did the voiceover, did you know both of these wrestlers would be big stars?
I sort of figured Hogan would, just because of his size, and there was such an attraction to somebody that kind of size with that kind of strength and ability at that point in time in wrestling history. So I sort of figured that he'd get big. Kamala, I didn't know, because Kamala was sort of a unique individual as far as a wrestler goes. He was sort of a gimmick wrestler, if you would, and I didn't know that he would get that big. You know, the ironic thing, I have never met Hulk Hogan, and I have a connection. My ex-wife was with Atlantic Records and promoted Hogan's daughter's album when it came out, so she got to meet him and has been to his house in Florida and knows the guy, has his cell phone on her phone and all that kind of stuff. I never met him. I had a chance to one time. He was in Huntsville at the Von Braun Center back in, I want to say 2000, and I was supposed to have lunch with him through a mutual friend. He was appearing at the BBC that night for the WWE, and there was a timing issue, and he didn't get to. I saw him check out at the hotel, and they rushed him right out to whatever he had to do, so I didn't get a chance to meet him. But I've always wanted to walk up to him and just say, hey, I'm your voice, and just see what he would say.
That's funny. Now, we talked about Hogan, we talked about Kamala, and now you were a part of one of the most, or you were there, I should say, you weren't a part of the controversy, you were a part of one of the most controversial moments in Memphis wrestling history. You were the host of the program. That week, I believe your co-host was Stacy the Cat Carter. All of a sudden, in the middle of a live broadcast, Billy Joe Travis was arrested. This was the real thing, man. This really happened. So take me through your day that day, normal, routine, you're doing a wrestling program, then all of a sudden lead us through it, and certainly the arrest of Billy Travis.
As I recall, we were in the middle of a match, and our match was right about to start. And I want to say that the floor director gave me the signal that we had breaking news, that we were going to have to break in with something new. So the floor director, and I can't remember his name, great guy, just really took care of the talent on TV.
I think his name was Bob Crone. Bob Crone.
It was Bob. And Bob was, Bob was sort of an unsung hero when you do live TV. If you have a floor director that knows what he's doing, he can make you look great. If you have a floor director that doesn't like you, he can murder you. So this guy was awesome. I had a great, we all did, Lance, Dave, everybody that worked with him, Corey, sung his praises. And but anyway, I got the sign that there was breaking news, and about that time, I want to say it was Guy Coffey or maybe Eddie Marlin came up beside me as I was getting into my IFB, which is a little thing the announcers wear in their ear that connects you with the master control that tells you what's going on when you need to know what you're to do. And master control was telling me that we've got a wrestler being arrested in the back right now live. And then whoever it was, and I believe it was Mr. Coffey, came up and said, "Hey, Billy Joe Travis is being arrested." And we got a camera back there, so we just immediately did a throw and to the camera shot, and then I watched the monitor and sort of gave a little background of what was going on with my partner at the time, and sort of followed it through because it was literally at that point just doing play-by-play of what you were seeing on the screen.
The guy that came out as a manager for Billy during that deal made the announcement blaming Lawler on the rest. His name was Luther Biggs. Adam Dunn is feeding me this information, and the floor director at that time was Carl Dillard. Michael.
Okay. Well, he did. Carl did a fabulous job because he right away knew what was happening and took it. And the floor director again has got to be like he's the policeman. He's the traffic cop out there, and you just follow what he says and you'll be fine. And it worked out. But I do remember it was a very shocking thing to see on TV, I guess you might say, but more so for me, and knowing Billy as we all did, Billy was one of the more likable guys in the locker room.
Loved him.
He was always full of energy. He was always positive. He always said nice things. I really liked and really, really took a shine to him. And he could work in the ring. I mean, he started out as a young underneath card talent, and then he made his way to the top. And I know in some of the Dallas shoots and in the Memphis area and in Nashville and Louisville and the other parts of the territory, he was totally over. And we lost him way too young.
Now, refresh my memory. What was he actually being arrested for?
Not paying his child support.
Okay. So that was not a work. That was a real deal, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, no, totally a real deal.
Yeah, 100%. Real quick, Michael, I just want to catch people up. Every Tuesday, you're on Talking Memphis Wrestling with us, but you're a radio guy, born and bred a radio guy. You are on several stations in Alabama and Tennessee. Tell people just what you're doing, and also I'm going to ask you a question that you're coming here. I'm co-hosting this show with Randy Myers today. I'm in your business. I'm in the radio business today. Do you feel like to tell the truth, do you feel like I'm stepping on your toes by doing this here today?
I think it's as a total shoot, Randy, absolutely not. In fact, I'm shocked that you're not on the radio more often than you are, at least as not only a side career, but I know that is something you went to college and have a degree in communication. And I think talk radio is right up your alley. And, I've had an opportunity to be in Jonesboro with you when you released the book and listen to it. In fact, was on Budro's show for a few minutes and had a chance to listen to the East Arkansas broadcasting stations. And that is a well-defined, well-run, well-executed group. And I know they're successful in the North East Arkansas. And they're going to continue to be successful because They have great programming, and they have a great array of talent. And I'm just glad that you've landed on your feet. I think they've got if they don't know, they got a diamond in the rough, or a diamond already polished in Randy Hales. He just needs a little bit more time on the radio.
Tell us about your stations there in the Huntsville area and in Tennessee.
Well, back in 1997, the company I was with in St. Louis was bought out. I had a contract of 3 years. The company that was buying out the station bought out my contract. And at that point, my parents, I was born and raised in Huntsville, left when I was 17 to go to college, and swore to God I'd never come back. My parents were getting elderly. My dad had been ill, retired from the Huntsville Times for 43 years, the newspaper in town, and it was just time. So started looking for a radio station south of the Ohio, east of the Mississippi, so I would be close. And within a 5-day period, bought a station 28 miles from the doorstep of where I was born. And since then, my parents have passed. This will mark on July 31st, our 25th year will come to a close here in North Alabama. We have a total of 8 stations, that's AM and FMs. We have 3 in Tennessee. We have 5 here in North Alabama. We are the Fun Media Group. It says fun on the marquee, and our business statement is have fun, do the right thing, and have fun doing it. And so far for 25 years, I've never worked harder, but I've never been happier. So that's sort of what I'm doing.
Now, tell Randy's all grew up in Jonesboro, and I also listening to Memphis radio. Why don't you name drop a little bit, Michael? And I think you and Randy can have a little conversation about this. Name drop some of the people you worked with at WMPS when you were the program director in Memphis. Tell that story, and tell the story of who you placed as program director and how that happened, that high spot there.
Well, Randy, that's a great story. It's one of my favorite stories of my life.
By the way, 3 minutes to break, Michael. 3 minutes to break.
Okay, I'll keep it as short as I can. 2 minutes. I was programming a radio station in Birmingham, Alabama, and WERC, AM and FM. Rick Dees had been our competition at WSGN, had left a couple of years prior to go to Memphis, had become a huge star on 680 WMPS. Had a song out called Disco Duck, sent us a tape, a master tape off of when he first cut it. We played it all weekend long. We just played it every hour on the hour and claimed Rick Dees to be our own, even though he had never worked at our station. Song became #1 nationwide. Rick Dees was working for Plow Broadcasting, who was a great drug company, but not a great radio company. They would not allow him to play his song on his show when he had the #1 song in America.
How dumb
and
is
so
that?
one day,
I remember that. That was crazy.
And he decided one day to play it. They fired him literally on the spot. So they went looking for a program director, and they found a 23-year-old in Birmingham, Alabama, and they decided to give him a shot. And I went there, and literally I broke his record and took his place. But Rick and I remain good friends to this day, and an exceptional talent, one of the most world-renowned radio talents in the world. And unfortunately, my time at radio in Memphis was not very long. It was only about a year. Unfortunately, the company was going different directions, and I was just a young up-and-comer. So I jumped the first ship that I could take out of there, and then ended up in Hartford, by God, Connecticut, where I took a top 40 station that had just signed on the air that was formerly classical, and my career just went forward from there.
It's a great story.
Yeah, working with Rick Dees, and he also worked with Lance and Dave. Great. Michael, I know you have to be out at 10 till, but we're having to have a break, and it's a 5-minute break. Thanks so much. Will you come back next time I guest host if Randy Myers ever lets me do it again? I do have friends in high places next door, by the way. Thank you, Michael. I love you, man.
Same here. God bless all.
Thank you, Randy. Here's your front row forecast for Northeast Arkansas. Sunny and hot throughout the week. High of 102 today, heat index of 107. Excessive heat warnings in effect both today and tomorrow. Friday will bring a 20% chance of showers and storms and a high of 102 with only a heat advisory for Friday, at least for now. Tonight will be mostly clear with a low of 81. Currently in Jonesboro, fair skies, 91 degrees at the EAB studios as we jump into our final segment of the Power Hour on this Wednesday.
Having fun today, and now we are going to go. We're going to travel right now, Chris Ellis. We're going to travel, Randy Myers. We're going to go to the Peachtree State of Georgia to talk to my buddy, Al Tuttle. Good morning, Al.
Good morning, guys. How you doing today?
Doing real good. My feelings were hurt. I was hoping you would call earlier. I even asked you to call earlier during the first hour, but you didn't make it. But if you wouldn't have called at all, I would have probably not slept a week tonight. It would have hurt my feelings so bad, Al.
Well, I was going to call the first hour, but you guys jumped right into, with Chris and your other guests, so I didn't want to bother that. But I just want to say to Chris, awesome to talk to you, Chris, and I enjoy the Tuesday show. It's my favorite show, and I always like hearing your takes.
Chris wants to talk to you too, Al.
Well, Al, I appreciate those kind words, but hey, I really want to thank you for the magazine, Mass Superstar on the cover. That's fantastic because he's one of my 5 favorites of all time, and I had the pleasure of meeting Bill Eadie with RH at the Jackson show a couple of years ago. So I'm very appreciative of that, and I'm always appreciative of your comments and your interaction on Tuesday nights.
He adds to the show on Tuesday nights, and every once in a while, Randy Myers, Al cheats on me, and during the regular part of the week, he calls in to talk to you and Bud, right?
Yeah, we appreciate that, too. We like him cheating on you.
Yeah, I do, too. I like him cheating on me, too, because I'm loyal to this station. Well, this is out of my comfort zone today. Obviously, Al certainly is. Talking wrestling, I can do it in my sleep. Have you enjoyed the show? Did you learn a little bit about Jonesboro American Legion baseball?
Yeah, I mean, you did a good job, Randy. Like you said, you told Zach this isn't your first rodeo.
That's
I
right.
want to tell Chris real quick, I'm sorry I didn't have a magazine with Terry Taylor on the cover. But
oh, no.
The Red Rooster.
This is a rib you don't know about. Al messes ribs Chris here. Chris's least favorite human being of all time is Terry Taylor, wrestler of all time. So Al makes those smart aleck comments. He switched heel on you, Chris.
Oh, he turned on me, didn't he? Al, I'm thankful you didn't send me a magazine with Terry Taylor. Although my garden might have been able to use it or something, but yeah, yeah. I'm not.
I wanted to ask Randy Myers, did you get a chance to look at the video with Lawler and Jack Eaton? And
yeah, that roast. Yeah, I did watch all of that. That was good stuff.
Now, Chris, have you ever seen that video?
Yes, sir, I have.
Okay. Lawler is ruthless. I mean,
yeah.
He was talking about Jack Eaton's wife. She was sitting right there.
Yeah. I mean, it was awkward at times. It was so ruthless.
Well, heel Lawler is the best Lawler.
Yeah, I agree with that.
If the King was sitting here with me in RH right now, I'd want him to go retro to the 70s before he got hurt. The fans made him babyface, but heel Lawler was the best ever. He was so great.
He's so great for sure. Any other wrestling question or life question or any kind of other question? First of all, before you tell me any question, I want to say you think your mama's listening to this show, right? You think she might be listening to Randy Hales, Randy Myers, and Chris Ellis on the radio today. Is that true?
Yeah, I think Mom may be listening this morning. So.
Well, say hello to her.
Good morning, Mom.
Good morning, Chris's mom. Go ahead. You tell her too.
Hello, Clian. How are you?
See,
I know his mom a little bit.
Yeah, you know.
I haven't seen her in a while, but I know her.
I don't know her well. Chris should take us all out to eat sometime, but today I got to go to a birthday party, and
I got to call a plumber.
I know you have a plumbing problem, and hey Al, I'm leaving after the show today. I am going to Cabot, Arkansas. My great nephew 1 year birthday. I got to go to that today. I can't miss his birthday party. I'm going birthday partying today. How about that?
Well, just be safe driving and stay hydrated. Hot as it is there. It's about 97 here today.
It's probably hotter than that here. I mean, my weather guy is right across the window from me. Randy, the last time you did the weather, what was it?
It's 91 at the moment.
91 at the moment. Yeah. It's supposed to be up to 100 and something today?
Yeah, like 102, I believe, is our projected high for the day.
And heat index probably 106, 107.
Yeah, 107.
It is absolutely awful. Next week. Go ahead, Al.
Well, I was just going to say, too late for a question, but today is the 37-year anniversary of the first ever Great American Bash, the NWA. They had like 27,000 people in the Charlotte Stadium, Charlotte, North Carolina.
What was the year? How long ago did you say, Al?
37 years, 1985.
37 years, goodness.
Dusty Rhodes versus Tully Blanchard in a cage, and if Dusty won, he got Baby Doll for 30 days, and he won. So that's how that went.
That was not a bad prize.
I don't know if either one of you guys were watching WCW. Not the Jim Crockett promotions in '85 with Dusty Bookin and the Forcemen and all that.
You've been listening to On the Front Row with Budro with your host, Bud Schropel. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, or other use of the descriptions and accounts of today's program is strictly prohibited without the express written consent of Front Row Media. Today's program has been produced in the studios of East Arkansas Broadcasters at 407 West Parker Road in Jonesboro. Listen Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. for On the Front Row with Budro.
This is KNEA K237FI 95.3 and K245CW 96.9 Jonesboro and KBRI Clarence.